All right, let's get right into it. We hear all the time about plastics that are supposedly better for the planet, right? But what if most of that is just clever marketing? Today, we're going to look at a totally different kind of plastic, one that isn't just biodegradable, but is actually food for the very bacteria that create it.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? But you know what? It gets right to the heart of the problem. So many of us buy into the idea of green plastics, but the reality, it often doesn't match what's on the label. And this is where a huge misunderstanding begins.
So let's start by pulling back the curtain on this whole greenwashing thing. Making something sound way more eco-friendly than it actually is. So what are we really buying when we choose that compostable coffee cup lid?
And here it is, the big disconnect. On one side, you've got the promise, a plastic that just disappears back into the earth. On the other side, the reality. Now, this is true for the most common bioplastic out there, called PLA. It's usually made from cornstarch. But here's the kicker. If that PLA lid ends up in the ocean, it basically acts just like a regular old plastic bottle, breaking down into microplastics and hanging around for a long, long time.
And this, right here, is the catch. For that PLA to actually disappear, it needs these super specific, totally unnatural conditions, a 60°C industrial composter. If you toss it in your garden compost pile, or worse, if it gets into a river, it's pretty much just as permanent as the plastics we're trying to avoid in the first place. But what if? What if there was a material that didn't need a special factory to break down? Well, this brings us to the real hero of our story, a different kind of bioplastic called PHA. And its life cycle is completely different. Okay, I know, that's a mouthful, polyhydroxyalkanoates. But don't even worry about the name. Here's the crucial part. PHA isn't some synthetic plastic we cooked up in a lab. It's made by nature, for nature. It's simply how some bacteria store their energy. This is the absolute best way to think about it. You know how when we eat some extra calories, our bodies store them as fat for later? Well, when certain bacteria have too much carbon, they store it as PHA. It's like nature's own built-in Tupperware. And get this, PHA is unbelievably versatile. It's not like PLA, which is just kind of one thing. PHA is a whole family of over 150 different plastics. By changing what you feed the bacteria, scientists can make PHAs that are stiff and brittle, or flexible for packaging, or even rubbery for coatings. You can basically dial in the exact properties you need. Okay, so it's natural, it's versatile, but this is where it completely changes the game. This is what you might call the marine degradation miracle, and it's the single biggest advantage PHA has over literally everything else. Just look at this. It's absolutely staggering. A regular plastic bag, it could last for 1,000 years in the ocean. That so-called bioplastic PLA, over 100 years. And then you have PHA. It's gone in 2 to 6 months. It actually, truly just disappears. And the reason why is so simple, it's almost genius. Because PHA is basically bacteria fat. Microorganisms all over the planet, in the soil, in the sea, they already have the biological keys, the enzymes to break it down and eat it. It's not a foreign pollutant to them. It's a meal. I know, this all sounds pretty perfect, right? So why isn't everything made of PHA? Well, as with most new technologies, it comes down to money. We have to talk about the economic barrier. So the main hurdle is cost. Your standard polypropylene, that stuff that's in everything, costs about $1.20 per kilogram. PHA, on the other hand, is currently anywhere from $4 to $6. For any company, that's a huge gap to cross. So why so expensive? Well, it boils down to 3 main things. First, you have to actually break open the bacteria cells to get the plastic out, and that takes energy. Second, let's be real, the oil industry has had a century-long head start making its processes dirt cheap. And third, brewing plastic with bacteria takes a lot of really clean water. But here's a thought to chew on. Is oil-based plastic really that cheap? Or have we just been ignoring the true cost all along? That price tag, it doesn't include the bill for cleaning up our oceans, or the health impacts from microplastics, or the carbon emissions. Those are the hidden costs of oil. So, how do we close that cost gap? Well, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea. There's a clear path forward, and it's leading to what you might call a biorevolution. The future is all about creating a truly circular economy. Instead of feeding these bacteria pricey sugars, innovators are figuring out how to feed them our waste. Imagine taking used cooking oil or methane bubbling out of a landfill,
or even carbon dioxide captured right from the air and turning it directly into biodegradable plastic. This isn't science fiction, it's happening right now.
And why does this matter so much? Because our current system is just broken. We put so much faith in that little recycling symbol, but the hard reality is that less than 9% of all plastic ever produced has actually been recycled. It's a failing system. We can't just recycle our way out of this crisis.
So I'll just leave you with this question. PHA offers us a completely different path. It represents a huge shift in how we think about the materials we use every day. What if the things we used and then threw away didn't become a permanent poison, but instead returned to the cycle of life and simply became a meal for the planet?